This war represents a failure to listen.
Release your anger. Only your hatred can destroy me.
Something terrible has happened.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force obey.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
Biggest problem in this universe is nobody helps each other.
That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate. Saving what we love.
Hello, and welcome to Who Shot First, a Star Wars controversy podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
I'm your other host, Ethan.
I'm special correspondent, Sarah.
And today we have a very special guest, Chris from Broaxium. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. Could you tell us a little bit about your podcast, Broaxium?
Sure. Broaxium is it's a network of a bunch of, passionate Star Wars fans. Like our motto is no drama, no hate, no clickbait. We don't really get into we don't trash Star Wars or anything like that. It's all positive. It's all love for this franchise that we've all loved our lives. On Wednesdays, we do a show called Quick Shot, which is a Star Wars comics preview show. We do non-spoiler reviews or previews of that week's Star Wars comics. We also have the Star Bros podcast done by Ben and Jan, which is a family-friendly Star Wars easy listening podcast, as I call them. And we have Shooting the Poodoo, which is our live show we do on Sundays, which there's no true form to the show. It's just Star Wars fans talking about everything under the pop culture sun.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. So today we have Chris on our episode today because we are talking about a very tricky subject. We're actually going to break this into 4 different parts because we're going to do an episode on today, which is our marketing of Finn as a Jedi throughout the marketing of The Force Awakens in an attempt to court the African-American audience to come see a new Star Wars film. And then we will break the character down in subsequent episodes in The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. So we will be breaking him down separately. But so today we're just going to focus on the marketing of Finn and what certain group were led to believe was going to happen. And basically it didn't. So any thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah. Like I've said before on different shows, and just when I'm on Shooting the Poodoo and I just go off on the whole Finn subject. But when he's the first person we see in the teaser trailer. He's the first person that pops up. And then in subsequent teasers and different images and character sketches, like official character sketches and all that stuff, you see him with a lightsaber. Not only any lightsaber, but the legacy lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah. And
for me, being a fan my entire life and also being Black, that's something that I always wanted was a a major character, a like Black leading character in Star Wars, and we finally got it. Of course, I love Lando and Mace and all that stuff, but they're tertiary and secondary and tertiary characters. But Finn was the first main Black male character, and I was so happy that we finally got that. And to see him with the lightsaber, that just opened up so many different possibilities and things that I've always wanted to see, and then kind of had the rug whipped out from under me when I went to go see the movie. And I still love the movie. Don't get me wrong, I still love the movie, but how they advertised him. If you look at it, like around the world, I know China, their poster for Finn, Finn on their poster was like he was
tiny.
Yeah,
they shrunk him. Yep.
Yeah, they shrunk him down, and that was a bit of an insult. I think the one thing with the advertising is they did kind of bump him up a little bit, and then when the movie came out, it was something completely different. So I don't know if if things changed in production and they just got cold feet and decided to go another way. It's tough to say, but yeah, we were led to believe one thing, and then the movie came out and we got something totally different. So that kind of, that if I had one thing to complain about within Star Wars, it's that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder too, like while they were making the movie, I mean, I think they always had the intention of creating, like, having the movie revolve around Daisy Ridley. But I wonder too if during that production, or even during like the development of the marketing for it, if there was even a discussion about, if we could get more African American people in the theater, should we create this idea or this poster that it's going to be, you might have a bigger deal just to try to get more people in the seats. I wonder how much thought actually went into that marketing, or if they were just totally like, didn't think about it too much and didn't realize the impact it would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah, I don't think they realized the impact that it was going to have. And I know J.J. Abrams, and he tries to do the whole red herring thing, making us think it's one thing and it being another. I'm like, I get it, and that's cool, but in this instance, I think it was like the wrong message to send out as far as that red herring went, because you got a whole subset of fans that were so proud and so happy, and then I'm a janitor or I'm a custodian or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna that'll definitely be a lot talked about in our next episode. But yeah, no, they definitely you build him up and you have him because he's holding the legacy lightsaber numerous times. Yep. So and to me also, I just watched the trailers again, and the first lines of the entire trilogy is,
"There has been an awakening. Have you felt it?"
And then he pops up, and he's just like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's going on? They're telling you this guy is Force sensitive. Like, this is our main guy.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a pivotal character.
This is our pivotal character. Like, he is in charge.
Yep.
And yeah, he just kind of gets, and this is a beef that I have with JJ, of just like, he loves his red herrings. A minor argument that I'd like your opinion on, that came out before Tross came out. It was not a bait and switch. It was a bait and see. That was the argument, that it was not a bait and switch, but a bait and see. And then things didn't go necessarily how they should have gone. But a lot of people were arguing that he was not necessarily, like, they marketed him that way for a reason. And so Tross was supposed to be his movie to come in as like, he is the Star Wars, he is a Jedi, that kind of thing. And then Tross just kind of ruined, like, something went wrong there. They got cold feet again.
Yeah.
And Tross is the Rise of Skywalker, just to clarify.
I could definitely see that. I mean, they showed hints of his Force sensitivity definitely in Force Awakens. I think in the beginning, when he decided not to shoot, that was one thing. He's trying to break that indoctrination. Ren singling him out, like on Jakku, and just having that eye to eye with him for a second. Of course, when Finn noticed the destruction of Hazian Prime before anyone else, while he was on Takodana, those were things that they didn't really fire on. Even in Rise of Skywalker, everything was vaguely alluded to, which was still like, I was like, come on, like just let's go there with the Force sensibility. But they wanted to, or sensitivity, but they wanted to keep the focus on Rey and Ren, and I get it, but yeah, they definitely let the Finn character fall to the wayside for sure.
So Sarah and I have had a lot of conversations about this, and we've discussed how Disney has an issue with picking an issue, if that makes any kind of sense. So like they tried to have, like, they cared more about feminism in this instance of like trying to get the woman character in, but then trying to bait and switch you. And so they kind of forgot about the racism piece. And like how, because there are a lot of instances in Force Awakens that are kind of racist. And it's just like they're just, to me, it's the travesty is how much he was built up. Again, back to the marketing of like, if you didn't build him as high as you did, I don't think you have as much of a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to talk about, they tried to push him forward of like, oh my gosh, we've got the first Black stormtrooper, we've got the first Black main lead, and we're trying to show you like, hey, we're multicultural, and then you put it in the movie and you're like, that's not actually how this is. We're not that way.
Yeah. I think that, for them, lessons, I think they learned some of those mistakes, and apparently Boyega and had a chat with Kathleen Kennedy and on his grievances, with how Finn was handled. So hopefully that doesn't happen going forward. I hope that's the case, and they've sort of learned their lesson, and like hopefully like when things happen live action wise for like the High Republic stuff, where they really came out of the gate as diverse and dynamic as they could possibly be. I'm hoping that, going forward, that is something that's more commonplace, is people of color having leading roles, male or female or otherwise.
I think this whole conversation is fascinating because I remember at the time in the circles that I was in and the fans I was engaging with, the conversation was so much more about Finn being a Black stormtrooper and like people needing that explanation of like, they're all supposed to be, clones of Tamora Morrison. And so then, to be introduced to this debate, kind of after the fact of this sequel trilogy, to me is just fascinating because, depending who you're talking with in the fandom, you're having very different conversations about Finn and his role in the movie. Because I know pre-Force Awakens, I was talking to my friends and, people online about Finn being a stormtrooper. And it's like, you have to let the movie explain, it's kind of weird to think that you just keep cloning the same guy and not have recruits and things like that. So to me, that's what I find so fascinating. And I'm so grateful to be having this conversation. It is to just learn about what I missed on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one thing that I thought was funny. Like, oh, what do you mean he's a Black stormtrooper? I'm like, yeah, they were all conscripts. I'm like, yeah, they didn't continue the clone operations after a while. Yeah, these are all conscripts. So I mean, there's more types of people in the universe than just white dudes. So yeah, black stormtroopers are going to happen. There've been plenty, I'm sure, under all the buckets. I'm sure there have been more. And that was the one thing that drove me a little crazy is Finn had just as compelling a story as Rey did, had just as much of a mysterious past, and sometimes even more compelling to me, because this is the first time outside of Han and Luke we've seen a stormtrooper take their helmet off, and those guys are just in disguise, and of course, Finn was a straight up stormtrooper. We've never had that live action before, and that was a first, and that was something that was super compelling. Whereas Rey's story is compelling too. It's just, so is the Finn one, but it seemed like people, even like the fans, they wanted to focus on Rey and who her parents were and all that stuff. But I was more worried about Finn, where he came from, how did he break this indoctrination? Yeah, and one of the other things is my friend Prince, who has a channel called Urban Acolyte, he was the only one back in like before and after Force Awakens first came out. A lot of his videos focused on Finn. No one else is doing it. Everyone just focused on Rey. Now Finn, who was then called Sam in the script, had a much more action heavy role and was more efficient with that lightsaber, and which is like a more confident person. And then they went and dialed it down a bit once they had the Finn character, finalized. And like, Boyega had trained hard with that saber, and then they changed the dynamics on him. So, I don't know if that's Disney getting cold feet with having this action heavy, main black male lead, and just wanting to elevate the other female counterpart. I don't know, but yeah, that was a little, yeah, that does rub me the wrong way a little bit, that they kind of like nerfed him heavily in that first.
I wonder too if they had like focus groups about that too, of like they told certain group of audiences about this is what this character is, or anything like that, and how they responded maybe influenced them. But I'm glad you brought up Finn's backstory, because that I thought was something totally unique and something so fascinating that we hadn't seen before. The idea that of a stormtrooper just realizing the atrocities he was committing and trying to break that sort of that hold that the First Order had over him.
Yeah.
They really just like rush that. They really just like, he has that revelation of, oh, this is bad. And then, 10 minutes later, it's okay, I've decided to defect, and then boom, that's it. We're sort of just sweep that away to make room for Rey's big story. And that whole dynamic he had with Captain Phasma, I thought was something way more interesting that could have been pushed forward. And all of his really interesting plot points, they totally just put on the back burner or barely focus on until it's convenient.
Yeah, there were so many. There's so many avenues they could have gone with that character and his leaving the First Order, and maybe having problems like after breaking that indoctrination and dealing with that. Like after Force Awakens, I was like, okay, now I need to see like some Starbro adventure with Finn and Poe, infiltrating the First Order and trying to break the indoctrination of different stormtroopers to help to get them away from the First Order and bolster the numbers of the resistance. Maybe even have it where some resistance people don't trust him. He has to kind of work up that trust a bit with them. There were so many avenues they could have gone with him, but they wanted to stick with let's make him a coward and he's trying to run away. That's right.
They played him too safe. They played everything so safe.
Yeah. And Boyega's got so much acting range. They could have done it, and he would have knocked it out of the park. But we got what we got. And like I said, I still I still loved all three movies, especially Last Jedi. But I still loved all three movies, and hopefully going forward, we got Disney Plus now to help kind of hopefully correct some things.
Yeah.
And,
bridge that gap.
Give him some kind of series. And for me, he doesn't have to be a Jedi or anything like that, but if they want to continue in the him learning about the Force and learning about his abilities and then really getting into his character, making it more of a character driven series for him, and dealing with his time in the First Order and being ripped away from his family. I'd love to see something like that.
Yes.
No, I agree. So in a little bit of my research, I very much think that Disney got cold feet, but also I'm not sure a lot of people know, but Finn and Poe, those characters were swapped. It was actually Poe's character was supposed to be the African American, and then that's why he didn't have anything after that's why he's basically gone from the movie for that big part once they escape, because they didn't have any plans for him. They just like, we're gonna get rid of him. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna switch this character, and then now we're gonna put Oscar Isaac, but now Oscar Isaac's so cool, we're gonna have him come back. Yeah. And so you're like, we could save this character if he's not black. Like that was a weird, like, I don't know how much I'm reading into that, but I was just like, that's a yeah.
I mean, that thought process, it can go a few different ways with that one, and I'm not sure which one is going to be correct. But I know that the Sam character, who later turned into Finn, was supposed to be a white character, because if I'm not mistaken, Sam Witwer was supposed to play that character, or was in line to play that character, and then he said, like, things changed, dynamics of the character changed, so I didn't get the part, something like that. He had said, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was on. Like,
there were rumors about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like that.
Sam Witwer being the main character?
No. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, that was something like years ago. I think it was a Collider interview or something like that that he had mentioned that. Like no one else had really responded off of that, but I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Okay, like that stuck with me when I heard that.
Yep. No, it's just, to me, it's I have to shout out a couple the podcast Sisters with Sabers as a podcast that has really opened my eyes to a lot of issues in Star Wars. Like I think I like to think I've been had my eyes open for a lot of things, but like with Finn, I mean, I know with Sarah and we've talked of like when we watched it, we were, again, our discussions were not about, oh my gosh, Finn is a lightsaber, like he's Force sensitive. It was about him being a stormtrooper, but like through other articles I've read, like it was a huge thing for the African American community, where it's like there is a Black person that can use the Force. He can do all these cool things that has only been for a select few, and he is now the main character. And the fact that he goes like in the final trailer, they have him go one-on-one with the big bad, Kylo Ren. And you're like, this is really cool. Like, this is going to be big. And then, I mean, yes, he does go technically head like one-on-one with him, but then he gets taken out. Yeah. And yes, you have that big empowering moment of Rey, like catching the saber, which is really cool and really empowering to a lot of women I know, but you're still like, this could have been marketed better. This could have been done better. So you're not setting us up to like, this is going to be the guy. And then it's Rey. Rey's the girl.
And I was absolutely cool with like the both of them being like, you know, the protagonists, like co-protagonists. When I watched Force Awakens for the first time, and after a while, like a lot of the attention was going to Rey, and it was at one point where Ren is talking with one of his subordinates about BB-8 getting away from Jakku on a YT-1300 freighter.
The droid stole a freighter.
Not exactly, sir. It had help. We have no confirmation, but we believe FN-2187 may have helped in the escape.
Anything else?
The two were accompanied by a girl.
What girl?
And he's like, yeah, and there was a girl with him, and he's like, and then like, you know, Force chokes his subordinate, says like, you know, what girl? Yeah. And like the focus went on there, and I turned to my friend Mike Roker, who's also part of Broaxium, and I was like, Finn is not the main character, is he? I was like, oh, this is all about her. Oh, they got me. Okay, you know, and I just went on with went on watching. But yeah, that was, you know, it came to that little realization, and then as things went on, and he, you know, loses a couple of fights. And this is a person who, from short stories and books that were told before the movie came out, that Finn was a top trooper cadet.
Yeah.
And you know, top marks, you know, excellence, all this kind of stuff. And we see him with a lightsaber go up against, I know people call him TR-8R, but I forgot his I think it was Nines or something like that. FN
TR, I don't know the name. But the traitor guy.
Yeah. And you know, he kind of gets, and Finn gets his ass handed to him. And I'm like, but I mean, it not just, he's got a saber on him, you know. Yeah. And he has to get saved by people constantly. And then the bit of the nail in the coffin for some people when it came to Finn was when they're about to go to Starkiller Base, and Han asked him, like, what was your job?
What was your job when you were based here?
Sanitation.
Sanitation?
He says sanitation. And I hear a bunch of, like, I laughed for a couple of seconds. I was like, haha, oh no. I was like, oh, this is, you know, people are going to have a different opinion of him, not knowing that that's the thing that soldiers do on bases. You know, they have more than just one job. But people are like, oh, then he's just some useless janitor and he's nobody. And it just takes away a whole bunch of credibility for him, and then people will start to, you know, equate him to Jar Jar, and I was like, yeah, yeah, it didn't help with like the little sight gag with the back to suit and Last Jedi as well.
Agreed.
But yeah, I didn't like that they took this character who when I first saw him and saw these things, I was just so overjoyed, and I'm just like, oh, we finally got one, and they're taking him seriously, and he's got the saber, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna be so cool, and then, you know, I didn't get the Finn that I was looking for until Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
and still it wasn't like, you know, fully the Finn that I was hoping I was going to see. So yeah, it was yeah, they definitely dropped the ball when it came to Finn.
Yeah. And again, to me, it all comes down to like, Hollywood in general doesn't have a great track record with treating people of color. And so like even to say that it's like, oh, it's a bait and switch, and like it's meant to, like, you are trying to aim this at people of color to come see your movie. Like, you were trying to get them into your movie, and you did, because a lot of them got in, and then they all were like, oh. And so I think that's a thing that's a lot of people don't put into their thoughts of like why like Force Awakens was so big and the other movies were still big, but like not as like culturally relevant, I think, of like, because you kind of burned a huge demographic that they're like, this is what it's supposed to be, and it wasn't. And you're like, oh, it's a bait and switch. And you're like, well, we haven't been treated well, so this is not, you shouldn't be bait and switching us.
Right.
You know, appreciate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like I said, you know, I'm like, I'm all about a red herring. Yeah, keep me on my toes. That one was, to me, not done well, and yeah, that one kind of stung a little bit. I was so cool. I'm like, oh, we got a female protagonist and a black male protagonist. I'm like, in Star Wars, I'm like, oh, I couldn't even fathom it. But they sort of made good to a degree in Rise of Skywalker. Like, there's scenes with, you know, for me, there's scenes with Finn and Jannah talking.
Yeah.
And truth be told, that is the first time in how many movies? 11 movies where there are two black people talking and are the focal point of his scene.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask you about her. I was gonna ask you about how your take on her character too, just briefly.
Yeah, I thought the character was great. I think that should have probably happened in Last Jedi, like I said before, with Finn and Poe going on their Star Bros adventures, you know, trying to break some of the stormtroopers away. That's something that I thought could have happened there, but I'm glad that it happened regardless. You know, I just wish it would have happened a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and you're right though. I didn't even click for me that it was the first time two black people were having a conversation, just the two of them on screen like that in Star Wars before. Just something that just like, yeah, it's like, oh wow, that it feels wrong, you know, like that hasn't happened soon.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. And that just like when I first saw, I think it was one of the production shots they show of them both on those. I just call them space horses. But when they showed that, you know, I was like, wow. I'm like, I can't believe. This is Star Wars. This is a shot from Star Wars where these are two black people on the screen. You know, on the screen. It was a great feeling. It was a great thing to see, and I hope that we get more of that going forward. And I think we will. I think mistakes were made, and they're learning from those mistakes, I think, and things are going to start to even out a little bit as we go forward in production.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're making steps forward. I don't think John will ever come back, because he's said, and from what I've understood, I think he said like he's just been burned too much, and he said, I think there's an interview he did where he's like, I'll come back if they do Duel of the Fates, and that was the only, like, the original script for the episode 9 is what I've heard. But I'm just like, because while I would love to see more of the Finn character and like them doing right by him. I completely understand of John Boyega just being like, I'm done. I don't want to deal with it because yeah, like we can dive into this a little bit of just like, yeah, he got marketed as like this big, amazing thing, got reduced in the movie, and then had to deal with such horrific racism outside of the movie.
Yeah.
And was never given any kind of really support from Disney. Like and that's the thing that bugs the crud out of me. Of like, there was no statement of like, you want to boycott episode 7? Do it. We don't want your money.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want you. Like, it's because the whole hashtag boycott episode 7, because we had a black stormtrooper.
God forbid.
Like, good. Yeah. Like, Disney did not stand their ground, did not be like, hey, John, we got your back. Like, it was John had to step up for himself of like, yeah, be mad. And you're like, good. Like, he stood up to it, but he did it on his own. Disney didn't help him.
Nope.
And yeah, so no. That, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that, yeah, those protests, those protests and all that kind of stuff were just ridiculous. But yeah, they should have had his back. They should have had Daisy's back. They should have had Kelly Marie Tran's back.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who really got, like, oddly enough, Oscar Isaac didn't get anything. He's Peruvian, he's so it would just, it's weird, but I mean, I'm glad he didn't get any kind of backlash, but still, yeah, a lot of these different people with these different thoughts of what Star Wars should be and who should be in Star Wars and who should be, in the forefront. It's unfortunate, other people need their time in the sun as well, and they just can't wrap their brains around that. And my thing is, if you don't like it, all right, cool.
Bye. Yeah.
Go watch something else.
Sure. Yeah. No, and that, yeah, that's my biggest issue with Disney right now, is that this is, I'd say, like, a bad thing about Disney buying Star Wars is because they completely view everything as the bottom line. And so they're like, even if you're a racist, we still want your money. So come see our movie. Even if you're a homophobe, come see our movie. We want your money. It's like, you are a big business. You need to step up and stand behind your team. You cannot just accept this is happening and not say anything, and then expect, and then cater to things like with their marketing with their non-discussion and barely, like, being only finally forced to let Gina Carano go when she's talking anti-vax and transphobe and stuff like that. And then, but then, like, literally they finally let her go. And then for Gay Pride Day, they're like, hey, let's all be gay pride. And you're like, you can't do this. You were literally, like, supporting a transphobe. Like that. Yeah. It's it's with this marketing.
They've got some things to learn. Like I said, I do think that they are getting better with it, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Like I said, lessons are learned, and they'll get there. They'll get there. I just hope that with their productions going forward, that they, really do have their people's back, more going forward. So hopefully.
Yeah, I wondered, they should, I mean, I guess I didn't do research into actual, like, the writers and stuff, but they should, look into hiring more people of color to write these things too, write these roles, write these scripts. What an interesting take that would be.
And that is starting to happen. You can see that with these couple seasons of Mando.
Yep.
That's happening. As far as like Rick Fumiyama being a director, I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I need, and he directed some great episodes.
Yep.
And I'd love to see more of that. And that's one of the, like I said before, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited for everything that's happening with the High Republic. And that I hope that when it comes time for live action treatments of any High Republic material, and they have such a diverse cadre of writers already, I think all the bases will be covered as best as possible. I think.
I hope so. Mm-hmm. I tend to have too much of a cynic in myself of like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's a struggle of like, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, no,
I am forever hopeful. So
yes, yeah, always looking forward, hoping that it'll be better. But
Yeah, cautiously optimistic.
there you
absolutely.
go. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Chris. This is a lot of fun, and always trying to get different people on and
different perspectives, man.
Different perspectives and everything, learning new things. Because again, our discussion here, we had a lot more. I learned a lot from this discussion. So thank you for having it with us and letting us know. So
absolutely, man.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Chris Ryons, or Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter under Broaxium. And come check us out. Give us a like, subscribe, and all that good internet stuff.
Cool. And you can find us similarly at Who Shot One SW Pod on Twitter, and then you can find us Facebook and everything. So thank you very much for coming on, Chris, and everybody go give Broaxium a follow and everything like that, and never tell us the odds.
Never tell us the odds.
Never tell us the odds.
3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us. Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
The African-American character was supposed to be Finn's character, and that's why there is.
You mean post character?
Post character.
Yes. Sorry. No. In the Phantom, or not the Phantom. I'm off.
And like even when I watch, I almost said Force Phantom Menace again.
Oh, I like that. Oh, okay, there we go. That was good. I like it. All right. Thank you so much for coming
and
on,
never
Chris.
tell me the odds. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's good. That's going in. Thank you. All right. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, guys.